Hey everybody, this is Zach Rosette with Buildbox. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a really fun platformer game called Cubeland. It's got this little guy over here jumping around like a mad person collecting little golden cubes, and I'm going to show you how to build it today using Buildbox. So let's get started. Okay, so once you've got Buildbox all fired up and started up, the welcome window is broken up into 3 sections. One is called Open Recent, and this has got all of your current projects that you're currently working on, and you can select them right there. Right now it's empty. The next section is called Tutorials. It's got some tutorial videos, a simple game demo, a platformer demo, and then the last section is Latest News. And this has got some great articles and it's got some videos on there, so check that out later. Okay, for right now we're going to click on Create New. Alright, this is going to open up the creator window so we can go ahead and choose the basic settings for our new project. I'm going to name this game called Cubeland. And name it Cubeland. And there's a couple different things that you can choose from here. There's basic settings, gameplay settings, world settings, and menu settings. Okay, you can change the orientation from portrait to landscape. You can change the score type from distance to points collected, coins collected, global distance, global coins, and global points. Okay, for right now we're going to go ahead and just get started. We're going to click on platformer. This is going to lock down a few of the settings for us already. It's going to change the orientation of the game to landscape, and it's going to change the score type to distance. But right now we're going to change the score type to coins collected. Okay, and we're going to add one thing to the menu settings. We're going to add a pause button, and then after that we're done. We're going to leave the world settings how they are. We're going to go ahead and press create. Give it a few seconds to create the game. It's working as fast as it can. Alright, and so perfect. So we've got a basic platformer game already set up for us. So let's take a look and let's preview the platformer game, the basic platformer game. Okay, so I'm pressing left and right on my keypad, and I'm going to click the jump. So this is what allows me to jump and move at the same time. So I'm using my keyboard and my mouse. Okay, awesome. So that's the basic setup for your platformer game. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to click over here under characters and open up the character menu, and this is the list of characters. Right now it just starts us off with a little white ball. We're going to click on that so it opens up this menu over here on the right. Okay, and right now we're going to take our images for our cube character, and I'm going to drop in those images. So right now I'm going to grab those 15 images. That's going to generate the animation, and I'm going to just drop it in right here above the white ball into the default animation. Give it a second. It's lining up those images. Great, we've got our cube character. He's looking good. Let's test this out. Let's see what our cube character looks like now. Okay, so he is just running constantly, and that's cool. But it looks really off. So you gotta do some things to fix this up. Okay, first off, I think this default animation is no good. I think the one that we really want to focus on is the move animation. So we're going to exit out of the default animation and just completely get rid of it. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to hit Command Z. I'm going to bring it back. And I am going to keep some of that animation, but not all of it. So looking at this first image here, let's just take a look at this. Okay, so he's running. I want one where he's just standing. Where he's just standing on the ground. So let's take a look at some of these here. Let's see if we can get a better default image as his just standing there. I think this is a good one. Let's take a look at this. Okay. So yeah, I think this is good. You can see that he's just kind of standing there. and that's the side profile that we want. So that's what we're going to use as our default animation. That's just him chilling out. Okay, so let's drag that in, drop that in as our default animation, and then take the entire animation. I don't know why it does this. You know what I'll do? I'll just select all of them. Boom, like that. And I'm going to drop this in under my move animation. Okay, and I think that's going to be a lot better, because so much of the game is based off of movement. And so let's take a look at what we've got now. Okay, so we've got our default image, but when he moves, oh, he kind of steps, but he stops. He's stalling. I don't know what's going on with that. So let's check. Let's see what's happening. Why is it just stalling? So we're going to click over here on our right on the edit button on the move animation, and let's see here. I think what's happening is it's not being looped. Let's try just looping it to see if that fixes the problem. So I'm going to press start, and yeah, there we go. Once we loop it, it's fine. But if you notice that he's kind of walking down on the ground, he's kind of below the ground in a way, and it doesn't look really great. Let's turn on debug mode and see what's happening here. Oh, okay, well that's easy. There's a collision shape problem. The QB character, his collision shape is this circle, and so that's why it's all off. So I'm going to click off debug mode, and I'm going to fix that. And the best place to fix that is over here in the upper right. Okay, you're going to click edit shape. You're going to click edit, and this is for the collision shape. So we'll click edit, drag this up here so you can see, and we're going to change the collision shape so that it looks a little bit better, a little bit more like this cube character. So already I can tell the circle's not going to work. I'm going to hit polygon. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here and try to do my very best to try to make this a good collision shape. I'm going to try to include all of the important points. We'll include the back of his head, the front of his head here. And remember, you can't make these collision shapes be concave, so this doesn't work. This works, but this does not. Okay, so it has to be, because it would be great to just do this, you know, make our collision shape look like that, so it's looks real sharp. Okay, so it's exact, like, oh wow, this looks great, you know, but you cannot do this. You can't do this. So when you want to get rid of nodes, you just hit the minus sign there, and it needs to be a convex collision shape, just like this. And then also very key, when you want your game character to run flat, these two nodes need to be flat, as flat as you can make them. And it's probably a good idea to use this line here as a guideline, so you can see it a little bit easier. Sometimes it's hard, but if you can zoom in, it's not that bad. So zoom in, and then let's see what this looks like now. So let's test out our game. Okay, cool. So we've got an awesome running animation. He's running on top of the platform. That's what we like to see. But as he's jumping, he's not really doing a jump animation. He's just kind of landing from platform to platform. So let's fix that. Let's make that a little bit better. And then I think our character's a little bit too big too. So that's something else we're going to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and get my animations out for my character. This is his little flip. It's really awesome. And we had a really talented artist, Danny Ordheda, who did the artwork for this, and he's fantastic. And he uses Photoshop for his artwork, so that might be something you want to try out. I use Affinity Designer, but I think Photoshop's the way you want to go. I've seen Danny make miracles happen on Photoshop. Okay, so we just added in our jump animation, so this should look a lot better. One thing that's kind of throwing me off is the character's still too big, and this is a common mistake I see with a lot of new developers. is that they make the character too big. And you think, oh, well, it's going to be on a phone. It needs to be pretty big so it's visible. But the truth is sometimes characters are just a little white dot. They're real small. So I'm going to make this character be about half the size. So I'm going to put in 0.5, 0.5 on both of those. I'll bring the little character down. So this is, I think, where a little bit more like where we want to go. It might even be a little bit too small, but let's take a look at this. Okay, cool. So we've got the running left and right. And, ooh, that looks awesome. Super cool flip. Woohoo! Yeah, I dig it. Okay. And let's see what the animation looks like, or at least the collision shapes, I meant to say. Let's see what the collision shapes look like, because I just want to make sure that that's not off. So that looks pretty good. It circles around, it lands in the original collision shape. Perfect. Okay, everything's working great. So let's go ahead and spice this up a little bit. The dark clouds in this background here, these are a little bit boring. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and switch them up and make them a little bit better. So I'm gonna click on the background here, and I'm gonna click on this lock button, and just so you can see it a little bit better, I'm gonna unclick this lock button, and I'm gonna delete these two. Okay, so that I can drop in a new background. You don't have to delete them first. You can just stack the background on top of each other, but I think that's the way to go. Okay, something else that I want to teach you that is important that I wish somebody had taught me is I want you to look at this for a moment. Okay, so when you get rid of a image, okay, it's really important to go over to Tools, go over to View, click on Atlases. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead, make it so you can see this whole thing. Okay, you click on Atlases, and then there's all of your images for your game. Okay, these are the running animations, the jumping animations, and everything else that comes stock when you start your game. And so we've already gotten rid of some of these things, so let's go ahead and click Optimize. Okay, and it gets rid of some of the sprites that we're using that are not important. So it didn't get rid of any sprites for us that time. That's okay. I also want to click Rebuild so that it puts everything in the best possible order to make use of all the space. And this is something that you just want to keep doing over and over again as you're building your game, so that your images, your file size is not getting huge. You don't want to have a bunch of images in the atlas, in your atlases that you're not using, and sometimes it can be hard to get rid of them if you're not being religious about it and going and getting rid of all those things. So make sure you do some upkeep and cleaning on that. So real quick, I'm going to show you. I'm going to just drag in this background in here. Okay, I'll drag in. Let's go ahead and drag this in as a background. Okay, that's a platform. That's not what we want. So we're just going to delete that. I'm going to delete that, and that's gone. This is what we want. This is the background. Here we go. Throw that in as a background. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so now I'm going to take this over here in the upper left. Okay, I want you to see this. I'm going to take this, and there's two ways to do this. You can just click and drag it down and drop it like that, or you can use a command key. You can use a hotkey on your keyboard, and you press Command and then use your brackets, okay, and you can move them up and down like that, and I think that's the easiest in my opinion. Once you start doing that, it's the way to go. Sometimes when you're dragging up and down here, you can miss it just a little bit. You see how I messed up the first time? See, I just messed up again. So it's a little bit more surefire to use the command keys, okay? So that's just something that you might want to notice. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to put in the rest of this background and make it look nicer, okay? So let's go ahead and drag in this as a background, okay? Cool. Whoa, that looks really, really cool. But it's a little bit covering up some stuff. So I think this is kind of what we want. Yeah, this is better. This has got the character and the platforms and the enemies. It's all up front, and then we've got these two over here set to go. And you know what? Now when you've got your background how you want, it's a really good practice to just lock them down. Press the little lock button, and what this means is you're not able to move it anymore. Okay. The sight thing, if you click on the little sight thing, see what that does? It makes it visible and invisible. All right, and so you can see the whole thing. You can see here, clicking on the sight gets rid of it and brings it back, and so that's something you can experiment and play around with as well. But once you've got your backgrounds where you want them, just lock them down so that you're good to go. Okay, so let's see what this looks like now. Now we've got our background, and you know what? One thing I forgot to do, and you need to do this habitually, is you need to save. So I'm going to just press Command S. Okay, and it's going to ask me to save my game. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. I'm just going to call this Cubeland, and I'll go ahead and save it in my documents. Booyah, saved. Okay, and so now everything I've done is saved, and just in case you lose the internet connection or somehow Buildbox crashes, at least this way you don't lose your work. Even if Buildbox does crash, a lot of times it'll say, do you want to continue with your previous session, and it'll save all your work for you. So there's some backup plan, so don't freak out if all of a sudden your Buildbox crashes and you feel like you've lost your game. You haven't. So let's test this out. Let's see what's going on here with our game now. Okay, cool. So we've got this background, and that's looking a little bit better. Yeah, I think this is better. This is what we want. And you know, Danny does a really, really good job of making backgrounds that loop. Okay, if you look really closely, okay, it's kind of tough to see. But if you look really closely, there's a little faint line, okay? And it's kind of blinking. It looks like it's kind of pulsing right now. But there's this faint line, and that's where the backgrounds of between different scenes meet, okay? And that's what makes it look like the background just continues on forever and ever. So let me show you what I mean here, okay? I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to open this up again so you can see. Okay, right here at the end of the start scene, see, it starts with the start scene, and then it goes to the first scene, and then you can build more and go to the second scene and the third scene, and it just keeps going. Okay, but right here where this scene ends, see this line, and then where this scene begins, that's where the two backgrounds join up, and so they have to loop together so that it looks seamless and it looks smooth. And so there's a little bit of a trick to doing that as well. And so you'll get good at that with practice. That just takes practice. Okay, so now we've got this background, we've got the character, things are looking good. The platform looks a little bit dull. So I'm not crazy about the platform. Let's see if we can fix that out. I'm going to just try to click on the platform object over here. I'm going to click left so you can see this. I'm going to click on objects, and then I'm going to click on platform, and what this does is it opens up this menu over here on the right. Okay, and so once you've got that, I'm going to just try to take the platform and drop it in for the platform image and see if that just solves our problem right away. Okay, you know what, that's pretty good. That's not bad. I would just hold shift down and I would drag it straight down, and when you do that, when you hold shift, it makes it so that it can only move perpendicularly, straight up and down, or straight left and right along the x-axis or the y-axis. So this is so if you want to move things in just the x direction or just the y direction. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This looks alright. I think I might throw this platform behind it. I kind of like that look a little bit better. And then the enemies here, I think we can do a quick fix on that as well. These seem pretty good to go. One thing I might do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna delete this one. I'm gonna take this first one over here, I'm going to copy it, press Command C, and then I'm going to paste it, Command V, and then I'm going to lock those down. I'm going to lock that platform down right here. Not that one, this one. So that when you are running, it should just look seamless. It should look perfect, and that's kind of what we want to do. So I'm going to click over here on the left side and click on enemy, and I'm going to try to replace the enemy with one fell swoop as well. So I'm going to just drag the enemy in, and you know what? I'm going to drag in the dark one, since that makes more sense. I'm going to drag in the dark enemy, and ooh, that's tiny. Okay, that needs to be bigger. So let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to click on my little enemy here. I already selected it in the scene. And then I'm going to change the scale. Let's change the scale just to 1 and 1 and see if that works. Okay, that looks better. That looks a lot better. I could live with that. And let's see if the enemy is on top right now. I think it'd be better. I think it would be smoother if we threw the enemy behind the platform like that. See, doesn't that, it looks like it's coming out of the ground that way, and it looks a little bit more, I think it looks better in my opinion. So okay, so that looks good. Let's check real quick the collision shape on stuff. Whoa, collision shape problems for sure. We look at the platform right here. Here's the top of the platform, but the collision shape's way up here. So the character is going to be hitting the collision shape, and it's going to be all messed up. Okay, and it's the same thing with the enemy. Look how ginormous the collision shape is on that triangle, but the enemy is right there. See? That's all messed up. So we need to fix those collision shapes. Okay, and that happens all the time. When you're putting in new images, you got to set the collision shape right away. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to click on enemy. Here, I'm going to fix that collision shape first. Okay, and there's our collision shape. Way too big. Way too big for our enemy. So I'm just going to bring the points in to where they should be. Yeah, that's about where we want it. And very good. Okay, cool. So that's a little bit more realistic. Okay, cool. And you can see our collision shape's been changed and fixed in our session, or I mean in our scene. And you know what? If you notice, I just missed it. Just went to the left of it just a little bit. So I'm a stickler on that. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Oops, I clicked on the animation. I'm going to click on collision shape over here just so you can see this. Top right, click on edit, collision shape. Okay, and then let's zoom in and let's bring that out just one. Let's see if that works. There we go. I think that's where we want it to be. There might be a little bit that I'm missing, but I think I'm happy with this now. It's a little bit more centered. Yeah, that's where we want it to be. It's better. It's much better. Okay. When you put your mouse above the character and you zoom in and out, it zooms in and out on the mouse, on the character. Okay? If you put it above the enemy, it zooms in and out above the enemy. Okay? And let's say you want to just shift things left and right. Okay? This is where you hold spacebar and it changes the mouse into like a little Mickey Mouse glove. Okay, like a little hand, and then this is what allows you, while holding spacebar, you have to do this while holding spacebar. This is what allows you to move things around and recenter them. Okay, and that's super useful. So we fixed our collision shape on our enemy. Let's fix our platform as well. So over here in the upper right, I'm going to click on edit the collision shape. Okay, and this is where this is kind of cool. It already knows what shape you're working with, and it's going to help you out a little bit. So watch this. So I'm going to click on circle, okay, and then that's off. That's wrong. But when I click back on polygon, booyah, perfect. Okay, it's a perfect collision shape. I didn't have to go moving each node one at a time. Buildbox just does that for you, and it's awesome. So we're going to click out of the collision shape and the shape editor. For our platform, or at least I'm going to try to click out of it. Okay, there it goes. Okay, now things are looking better. Look, our collision shapes are just right. Our enemy is looking good. It's looking better. So now let's go ahead and fix up the first scene as well. Okay, so those are ginormous. Those are really tiny, and those need to be bigger. So I'm going to fix those. And instead of fixing these, I'm just going to make a couple copies. Press W on my keyboard twice, and then that makes a couple copies for me. And let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off debug mode now so that I can actually see it a little bit better. And we're going to go ahead and put these spikes back here in the middle. But again, I want to make sure that they're falling underneath the platform here so that it looks like it's just growing out of the platform. So I'm going to take all these enemies over here on the left and I'm going to drag them underneath the platform. Again, you can use your command shortcuts, your hotkeys, and just use command and then the bracket. Okay, so you can see this. Okay, so there we go. This looks a little bit more, this looks a little bit better. Okay, so now let's hit Command S and save our game again so that we don't lose all the work that we just did. And let's preview this. Let's see how this is looking. Okay, much better. Holy smokes, it's a night and day difference. Oh wow, I died already. Okay, so this is looking a little way better. I think we can go ahead and work with this now. One thing that I'm noticing is I don't like that some of the platforms right here, look at these two platforms. I don't know how well you can see it. I might try to zoom in here for you if I can. And let's see here. No, yeah, I'm gonna move this up so you can see. Okay, see how the platform is falling on top of the other platforms while this one over here is not. It's falling underneath. This looks way better than that does, in my opinion. Okay, so you want to have consistency, you want to have cohesion and harmony. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that with those platforms in the first scene. I'm going to take this one, okay, and I'm going to move it under the platform. This one I'm just going to use the short key, the hotkey, and move it under. All right, and then once those platforms are set, I'm going to go ahead and lock them up so that they're not I'm not moving them around. And the same thing with the enemies. Now that I've got them all situated, I think I'm just going to lock them up and leave them there so that I'm not accidentally clicking on them and moving them around. And so that's something that is good practice as well, is locking up your enemies, your platforms, your backgrounds once they're set, so that you're not accidentally moving them again and creating more work for yourself down the road. Okay, so we've got the basics here set up here. We've got the platforms, we've got enemies, we've got the background, we've got the character. Let's go ahead and fix a couple of the user interfaces. Let's fix the main menu, let's fix the game over menu, and then we'll come back to some more gameplay stuff. Okay, so to get over to the main menu, okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so you can see this. I'm going to click on the menu editor. All right, if you leave this here for a second, it'll tell you menu editor. There it is, okay? And once you hover over it a little bit. And so this takes you to the menu editor, also known as the game mind map. Okay, right here it says game mind map. Okay, and this has got your entire game all laid out for you right here. You have a load screen. You start with the load screen. Then it goes to main menu. Then you're actually playing your game. These are all the buttons that you use for your game. So if you press the pause button, it takes you over here to pause. And I'm going to go ahead and move these down because they're crisscrossing, and I think this looks cleaner. Okay, cool. So I'm going to zoom in on this actually so you can see. Okay. So this is part of the world UI, so I want you to see all this, okay? So this is where our character is actually doing stuff, okay? This is where our character is jumping and running and actually playing the game, okay? These are just the buttons for that are hooked up to that world and to that game. So this right here is the game over event observer. So if your character dies, it says, okay, game over, let's send it over to the game over user interface, and that's what UI stands for, user interface. And this will send you over to game over when it's done, and you click on game over, and then that's what you see when your game is done, or when your character is defeated. I'm going to go back here and see, and the same thing with pause. You click on the pause button and it takes you right here. Okay, it takes you, and they're very basic. These are just the templates, the presets that you start with. So we're going to go ahead and dress those up now. Okay, that's what I was talking about when I was saying user interfaces, the main menu and all that stuff. So let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. And let's go ahead and fix this load screen up a little bit. So I'm thinking, let's go back here. Let's go back to the different stuff. I'm gonna go check UI elements. I'm gonna use the main menu one, and you know what? I don't like that one. I'm gonna use pause button. Nope, I don't like that either. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just use the, you know what, this actually, the main menu one could be cool. Let's try that. Let's just, because then it'll bleed right into it. So let's try this. Let's try using this image right here, dragging it in as the image, as the background image. Okay, I'm going to tighten this up a little bit so that you can kind of see all the cool stuff that's in it. All right, I'm gonna leave it just outside, maybe center it a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's going to be our load screen. I'm gonna lock that up now that it's done. All right, I'm gonna bring in a preloader. Okay, this is gonna be your load bar, and I'm gonna just try to center it as best I can. Okay, maybe go a little bit high up because there's a nice like white space there. Okay, so that should be good. So let's go ahead and just leave that how it is. I'm gonna lock it up for right now. Okay, and then I'm gonna click on this background here because I want it to be seamless. I want to transition from the loading screen to the main menu, and I want it to look just perfect. So here's how I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna click on the main on the untitled image here, and I'm gonna press Command C on my keyboard. I'm gonna copy it, and then I'm gonna go over here to the main menu UI. First I go to the mind map. I click on the menu editor and go back to the mind map. Then I'm gonna click on main menu UI, and I'm just gonna Command V and paste it right back on there. All right, and then I'm gonna bring it down below the other stuff so that you can see. Okay, but already that looks a lot better. So I'm going to click exit out of this. I'm going to exit out of this gray, really gray background. Gone. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make this main menu a little bit little prettier. Okay, so I think I'm going to start by taking the game label, and I'm going to replace it with the Cubeland title. Okay, so let's go ahead and just replace it. Perfect. Okay, cool. And I think it's a little low, so I'm going to just hold shift down and move it straight up. Since it's already centered for me, I think it looks a lot, it's easier to just hit shift and move it up and slide it up. Okay, and then the same thing with the start button. I'm going to just switch out the start image. And this is what's so beautiful about Buildbox, is that's why it's so great to have these templates already put into place, because then you just drop them in and switch out the images. Okay, and I think the start button's a little low, so I'm going to shift that up and move that up just a little bit as well. So it's kind of, so that it's more centered. I think that looks better, in my opinion. Okay, so that looks good. I'm gonna lock these up, I think. Or you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do some main menu animations. So I'm going to lock up the background, keep the background locked up, that's fine. But I want to see how, right now, I want to see how the game transitions between the different. Okay, cool. So that was good. Did you see how it doesn't, you don't see like a jolt from background to background? That means the backgrounds are in the exact same place. Once the loading bar's done, this will just appear. But you notice that it kind of just abruptly cuts to the title screen and the start button. That's not really that cool. Okay, it would be a lot cooler if it like faded in. You know, it was kind of like smoky or foggy. Because you notice how all the cubes are like really gray and faded out. They have all these gradients, and it looks more like misty and mystical and stuff like that. I want to maintain that feeling by having those sort of animations as part of my main menu, as part of my user interface. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to exit out of this, okay? And over here on the bottom, right here, this is how you do animations. This is how you do UI animations, okay? I'm going to click open, and what this means is when the main menu is first opening, these are the animations that you want to happen. These are the animations that you want to see happen when the main menu is first opening. Okay, so what I want to do when it first opens, I just want to take Cubeland. Okay, I'm gonna select Cubeland. Let's see if I can grab it. I moved it a little bit to the right on accident, so I'm gonna press Command Z and move it right back. Okay, now when this happens, when it opens up, I'm going to go ahead and press record. I want it to end at 40 frames. At the 40th frame, that's why I'm clicking over here to the right and I'm creating this little orange or this little yellow. It's yellowish orange. It's kind of like a school bus orange or yellow. And I'm going to make sure it's on the 40th. Okay, and then I'm going to click in the opacity box and I'm going to hit enter. And then what that does is it creates this little green box here at the bottom. Okay, so that now is an animation holder. Okay, it's a position holder or it's an opacity holder. And then in the beginning at 0, I want the opacity to be 0, which means I want it to be invisible. I want it to fade in. Okay, now I think I'm going to make this fade in just a little bit before 40 frames. Okay, just so that there's a little bit of a difference and you'll see why. So I'm going to put it right at 35. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do, and just so you know, I hit the record button, so everything that I'm doing right now, all the movements, all of the opacity changes and things like that, they're all being recorded, so you have to be super careful not to do something that you don't want recorded. They have to be precise movements and precise calculations here. So I'm going to click on start. I'm still recording. I'm still in the open event. All right, and I'm going to make this one be fully visible at the 40th frame, and I'm going to let the Cubeland title be fully visible at the 35th frame. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the 0 frame and I'm going to hit 0 opacity. Okay, so now it should, at this point, I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so that makes it happen. So now everything should fade in once it opens up. I'm going to hit the record button. So we're done here. We're done recording. And then let's test this out. Let's see if that actually worked, because I think it's going to be way cooler. Oh yeah, way better. That looks way cooler than just like cutting and being super abrupt. That kind of sucked before. So I'm glad that this worked. Looks way cooler. Oh yeah. Just foggy fade in. I think that people are going to like that a lot better. Okay. So now here's the main menu and it's idling. Okay, this is that point where down here below, it's that middle part where it's just idling. I want to give my main menu a little bit more movement. Okay, I don't like that it's just staying there. It's just standing there. It's kind of boring. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Cubeland. Okay, I think I'm going to have the title, if I can ever click on it. I'm going to have the title, I think, be a little bit big, like become a little bit bigger and then smaller and then kind of fluctuate between big and small scales. Okay, so that it draws you in a little bit more, and then I'm going to have the start button become kind of fade in and out. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that right here. So first I got to make sure that I'm on idle. Okay, I'm in idle. Now I'm going to click on record button so that everything I do is now being recorded. All right, and so you got to be precise. So here's what I want to do. I want to make this thing be a little bit bigger and smaller, but I want it to end where it's at. So here's what I mean by that. First what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the frames to 80 frames because I think 40 is going to be a little bit too small, okay, too short. So at the beginning of this, and you can always add in more frames. If you want your animations to be longer or shorter, just change the frames and then adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and click here on scale, okay, in the scale box. Now that I've got Cubeland selected, I've got the first at 0 selected, I'm going to hit enter okay, and that's going to create a position holder for me. And then I'm going to go to 80 and also hit enter. And then watch the little green box that appears right below here. You'll notice there's going to be a green box once I hit enter. Okay, hitting enter now. Boom. There's a little green outline. Okay, and it might be tough to see. Let me see if you can see it better this way. Okay, so there's that little box. There's that little green box, just in case you can't see it. Okay. So now what this does, what this means is it's going to have that scale in the beginning at 0 frames. It's going to have that scale at 80 frames at the end. Okay, and then I want it to loop. I want it to just keep looping. But in the middle, I want it to get a little bit smaller. Or actually, you know what, I want it to get a little bit bigger. Why not? It's got a little bit of space. So I'm going to make it go to, at this point, I'm going to scale it up to 1.3. And that's way too much. So I'm going to go back and scale it to 1.2. Yep, that's looking a little bit better. And then I'm going to change the Y scale to 1.2 as well. Okay, and just in case you couldn't see that, all right, what I'm talking about is I'm changing this scale over here to 1.2 and this one to 1.2. And this is for the X axis or the X scale, and then this is the Y scale. Okay, so what we've got now is we've got the scale all set up at the 40th mark. So watch what happens. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out again. All right, and watch what happens as I drag this orange thing left and right. You see it getting smaller and bigger, and then back down, and then big again. And so the animation's working now. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. I want to see the name get a little bit bigger and smaller so that it's not just staying there and being boring. Okay, the next thing I want to do is make the start button go visible and not visible. So right now, let's keep the opacity at 1 and at 80 at 0 frames, and then do the same thing for let's do the same thing for 80 frames. I'm going to just hit on scale, or I'm sorry, on opacity, and hit enter. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and zoom out for you, and then I'm going to click on 40. Okay, and at this point, this is where I'm going to change the opacity to like half, like 0.5. Okay, so now, you know what? Yeah, I think 0.5 is good. Watch how it becomes like fades and becomes like full again, and it has full opacity and then half opacity, and so that's just going to keep looping. So I'm going to go ahead and click record button, so I'm not recording anything and doing anything else I don't want to do. And now I'm going to press play. Okay, so let's see what happens. Ooh yeah, oh yeah, that looks cool. Okay, so now I'm going to watch this again. So first it fades in, it loads up, fades in, and then once it's idling, it's making this name bigger and smaller, and it's making the start button fade and then come back to full and then fade again. And you know what? I might have even made it move a little bit too fast. 80 frames might be even a little bit too fast. Even though we doubled it and we made it twice as long, it still kind of feels like it's moving really quickly, and it's kind of distracting. I'm going to leave it how it is for right now. I don't think it's terrible, but that's something just to consider. Okay, you want these things, these animations, to be subtle and to enrich your game, not to be distracting and be abrupt and take away. So the last thing that you can do with this is you could potentially do a close animation so that maybe the whole thing fades away once you press start, or maybe something shoots across the screen, or whatever you want to do. But for us, we're just going to hit start, and it's just going to, that's good enough for me. I don't have anything special planned. I'm pretty happy with what we've got now. So just so you can see it all the way through, we're going to hit start, and then we're back in our game. Okay, but it looks way cooler. The one thing though we still need to fix is the game over, because watch what happens when I touch this enemy. It goes to game over, and then this is super boring and ugly, and we don't want that. So let's go ahead and fix that now as well. So upper left, let's click on the menu editor, and then we're back in the mind map, and this time we're gonna go to the game over UI and fix that. Okay, So here's our game over UI. It does not look good. We need to make it look better. So I'm going to go to my art folder. I'm going to go to my game over UI elements, and I'm going to fix this up again. So first things first, I'm going to switch out that image. I think I can just do it by just dropping it in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to shift click to hold the aspect ratio and just drag it in until that's pretty good. That's pretty gosh darn good. Okay, now I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to move the game over title and recenter it a little bit because I'm going to switch the game over title as well. So let's see here. So this is the game over title. Let's go ahead and drop that in. So fix that. Way better. Holy smokes, that's way better. Okay, and then I don't want to have a main menu button because I don't think we need that. I just rather would restart the game. So I'm gonna just press delete on my keyboard and get rid of it. Okay, and then I'm gonna change the restart button image. I'm gonna go into my images here and I'm gonna click the restart button and drag it in and replace it. Let's see how that looks. Okay, cool. Way better. Holy smokes. Okay, that looks really clean. So, is there anything that we want to do to make this even better? Because here's what's happening now. So, just so you can see, we start our animations, we start our game. I'm going to have the character die real quick or defeat real quick, and then we can see, boom, game over. Okay, so I kind of think that that's too abrupt of a transition again. I just don't. I think that I really like the fade. I like the fade look. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go through this a little bit faster so that you can, because we already did the animation for the main menu, so you can see. So at open, I'm going to click record. At 40 frames, I want to keep the opacity where it is. All right, I'm going to hit enter, and so there's the little green bar down here. I'm going to go to the beginning. I'm going to go to opacity. I'm going to put in 0 and hit enter. Okay, and the same thing with this one. I'm going to have it fade in as well. I'm going to have it fade in though. You know what I'm going to do for game over? I'm going to have it fade in at real fast. It's going to be a fast game over because once you're defeated, you actually want to play the game again really fast. You don't want to have to wait a bunch of frames for the game over title to appear and the restart button to appear. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that real quick. And it's as easy as just moving the green box over to the 20 frames mark. Okay, so now I'm going to click back on restart. I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, and I'm going to make the opacity at, let's do 25. Okay, let's make that be 1. So I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard at 1. It's going to create the little green box, so we're good to go. And then here, I'm going to change the opacity to 0 and hit enter. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to hit Command S and just save all my work. I'm going to click off the record button and see what this looks like. Okay, starting, good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and run right into this enemy. Booyah. Okay, that looks cleaner. That it's not super mystical. I don't think it needs like a super foggy look to it. Okay, because it this is a little bit darker of a background, and you also want it to happen fast. So let's see that one more time. I want to show you how fast that goes. So run, die, and it just boom fades in. So that's pretty cool. It's subtle, but it adds to the effect. So now I'm going to click over here in 40 frames so we can see everything. I want to have a little bit more of an idle thing going on. I think what I want to do is I want the game over title to, it's going to be kind of the same as the main menu. I want to make the game over title change scale to get bigger and smaller, and then I want the restart button to fade opacity in and out. So let's do that real quick. So we're on the restart button. Let's just go ahead and do that real quick. First, I'm going to change it to 80 frames on the idle because I feel like that I need it to be a little bit slower. When you watch it with 40 frames, you'll see what I mean. It just goes really fast, and so it's better to go slower. This is just take it from experience. Okay, so we're on the restart button. Let's click record. Okay, so at 80 frames, I want the opacity to be 1. At 0 frames, I want the opacity to be 1. I'm hitting enter on the opacity once we get to 1. Then I'm going to hit 0 over here. And you can hit tab or enter. And so now let's see what happens. It's fading, and actually it fades all the way out to 0. I forgot. We should just have it fade to like 0. To 0.5. Not full 0, because that's just too much. So let's do a half fade. Okay, so now, cool, way better. Okay, so that's done. Let's click on the game over title. Go to the beginning here at 0 frames. I want the scale to be that big. At 80 frames, I want the scale to be that big. I'm going to press enter. And then at 40 frames, I think I'm going to go a little bit smaller since it's already stretched out about as far as you can to the sides. I'm just going to change it to 0.8, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to click off record so we're not doing anything else because I think I'm happy with what I've got now. And let's see what we've got. So Cubeland's getting bigger and smaller. The start button's fading in and out. Let's make the character get to the game over UI. Perfect. Fades in. And it starts getting bigger and smaller. Oh, I forgot to hit the loop button. You see it only did it once. So I'm going to hit the loop button. Okay. And then I think that was pretty good. Let me double check. Kind of didn't like the abruptness of how it started fading in and out and on the game over screen. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, I think that's a little bit too slow. I think it starts fading in and out a little bit too slow. I like the restart button. I don't think that's a problem. I'm looking at the game over title. If you notice, all of a sudden it just takes too long. So let's go back to the opening. I think that this is happening too fast. I don't think it's happening fast enough. So with the restart button, it's coming off at 25 seconds. So I'm going to make this whole thing only last 25 frames. Okay, I'm going to hit tab. And so what should be happening is, let's see here, restart button. You know what? I'm going to do 26 frames because I don't think I included that frame. Yeah, because there's the green box. And so you can see what I'm talking about here. If I put in 25 frames, okay, if I put in 25 frames, you can't see that little green box because I didn't count correctly. So you have to put in the right number to get to that frame so that frame happens. Okay, so now what should happen is as soon as this all fades in, and I'll go ahead and widen this out so you can see this. What's going to happen is as soon as this all fades in, then the idle animation is going to start faster. It's not going to take as long. So let's see how that looks now. Woohoo! Yeah, that's it. That's what we're talking about. And then the last thing I forgot to click is loop because you can see it only just did it once. Okay, cool. So the game over screen is done. I'm happy with it now. I'm going to hit Command S and save again so I don't lose my work like I did last time because that can get frustrating. But a lot of times if you stay on top of saving, you never have any problems. Okay, the last thing I want to do is fix this pause button. Okay, this pause screen. So I'm going to go over here to pause. I'm going to drag in an image here for the background. Booyah. There's that. Oh, way too big. That's not good. Something was up with that. We're gonna have to just delete that now because that didn't work out. I think the scale was way off. So let's try dropping that in just the image. Yeah, that worked. So there was something wrong with the scale on that other platform or that other image that made it so that when we replace the image, it just got way too big. So at that point, you just want to delete and start over, and that's an easy fix. Okay, so I'm tightening the screws here a little bit so that it looks nice and even. I think that's where we want. I think that's what I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock it down so I'm not moving this all over the gosh darn place. Okay, so that's centered. Let's change the pause title. I don't like that one. It's the basic. That's basic. Okay, so pause button, that looks good. Pause title. Let's see here. Continue, start main menu. Let's do main menu. Let's switch that out. I'm gonna go ahead and switch out the image for that. Okay, cool. Oop, can't click it now. There it is. Got it. I'm missing my clicks. Okay. And then the next thing, let's fix this continue button. You know what I'm realizing? I'm thinking that this background is on top of everything. That's why it looks a little weird. Okay, cool. So see how I moved it down on the layer tree over here? I moved it down. You gotta do that. You gotta stay on top of your layers, because I think this has got a kind of a light opacity, like a light gradient. So it's real light, and that's why we were able to see those other things through it, but they need to be on top, or else it just looks weird. Okay, so I'm going to switch the continue button next. Better, much better. And I'm going to have that be the bottom one. And then I'm also going to include a restart button. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add a restart button here. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and drag in a navigation button. I'm going to change the function over here to just restart, and then add in an image for it. Just booyah, just drop it in. So easy. That's the power of Buildbox right there. Okay, so that's the pause button, but we haven't done any animations. Okay, and it's about doing the little things that make your game polished and that really make it something special. Okay, is doing these little animations. So let's click on open, and I want to fade all of these in, but I'm going to fade them in as like kind of like a waterfall. Okay, and you'll see what I mean by this. So I'm going to do 40 frames. I'm going to have this first one, I'm going to hit record. Okay, I'm going to have this first one come in early. Let's make this thing happen fast. Since it's just the pause button, I'm going to have it make it happen in 30 frames first. Okay. And this first thing I think I want to bring it in right around, this is like frame 15 or 14. I think it's 14. And I'm going to have it fade in. So that'll be, I'll hit enter on the 1 for opacity, and then have it be 0 at the beginning. And then for the next one, for the main menu, I'm going to have that one come in at, let's say, I don't know, 19, something like that. I'm going to hit 1 on that so that it fades in completely at the 19th frame, and then I'm going to change it to 0 in the beginning so that it has to fade in. I really like the fade in thing, as you can tell. I'm kind of a big fan of that. Okay, let's see here. Navigation button. And you know what? Let's go ahead and call this restart. I forgot to change the title here so that we can identify it. Restart. So at this point, I want it to come in. Let's do it at like 24 frames, something like that. I'm going to have it change the opacity to 1 here. At this point, it's fully visible, and then at 0, it's going to be invisible. So I'm going to change the opacity to 0 and then hit enter. So that's saved. And then the last one we got here is continue. Sweet. And at the very last frame, at 30 frames, that's where I want it to be 1. And I'm going to hit enter, and then at 0, it's going to be 0. I lost my mouse for a second. Okay. I'll hit tab or enter. Okay, and it saves it. Last thing I'm going to do, I think we need to change the pause button right here on the World UI. So here's what I do. I go to my World UI, I double click it, I click on my pause button, and I want to change it to a nice Cubeland pause button. Okay, and hey, this is a good troubleshooting thing. You see how this wheel is popped up and it's showing here, but I don't have any image dragged above it, and it's kind of like, what do I do at this point? This is super easy fix. You just drag it in an image and drag it off, and it disappears. Okay, like no problem at all. So now we've got our pause button fixed. It looks a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna hit Command S and save my game, and let's test this out. Let's see what we've got now. I'm gonna hit play. Okay, nice fade in. It's looking good. We're starting up our game. That's awesome. Okay, cool. We've got some jumping. Yeah. Okay. Man, I really like this. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead and see what happens when we hit the pause button. So I'm gonna click pause. Nice. It kind of fades in, and it's I like it. It's cool. Let's see that again, real quick. I'll press continue, and then watch it fade in. Cool, and it kind of fades in. It's very subtle to see this, but this one fades in first, this one fades in second, restart fades in third, continue fades in last. And it's very quick. So maybe 30 frames wasn't enough. Maybe I should have used more frames than that so that the waterfall effect is more visible and more apparent. So that's something to think about. Okay, so we've got that, but you notice how we have this like weird thing going on where it's kind of you know what? I kind of like it, actually. At first I was thinking, man, the opacity on this is you can actually see the game being played in the background. But that's kind of useful if you think about it, so that you don't lose sight of your character, and you can actually see, okay, my character's safe on this platform. He's not about to fall into an enemy. And so, or if you are about to fall into an enemy, you know it because you can actually see it. So when you hit continue, you can quickly save yourself. You know, and that's important and useful too. All right, so I think we've got all of our UIs dialed in. So let's go ahead and just finish this game out so that when the character collects 10 coins, the game is over. All right, and so you get sent over to you're done. Okay, and you win. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna put in some coins here. Cube coin. Okay, awesome. So these are going to be my coins that I'm going to pop in here. I'm just going to select all of them, and so here's how you do this. You just select all of them, okay, and once they're all selected, you drag it in and you drop it in as an action. For coins, it's always an action, okay? And give it a second because we just dropped in like 14 images all at once, or at least 12. Okay, and so we got our cube coin. That's way too big. All right, that's a big old coin. So I think the first thing we're going to do is change the scale down to, I don't know, at least half of that. It might even go smaller than that because that's real big. Yeah, see, that's still too big. I would change it to probably change it to like 0.2 maybe. 0.2, let's try that. 0.2. Okay, that might even be too tiny. Actually, no, I like that. I like little tiny coins and stuff. So let's put one little coin right there. Okay, so that's cool. So now over here on the left, I'm going to make sure that my coin is all fixed up. So I'm going to change the title to just coin, since that's going to be easier. I'm going to check the collision shape. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that collision shape, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to change the action type to a coin so that we know that it's we got that all dialed in. But here's something you should notice. See how it says reward coins? It has 10. That's not what we want. We want it to just be one reward coin. For every time you get one little cube, you get one coin. Maybe you want it to be 10, but I think most of you will just want it to, you get one coin and you get one reward to show that. Okay, so there we go. We've got our coin set up, but we don't have any label. We don't have a label showing how many coins we have. So let's add a label in real quick. So I'm going to hit Command S to save my game so that I don't lose any of my work right now because we've been doing a bunch of work. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add in a coin label. See right here, this is the game over event observer. So when you run into an enemy, it works just like this. It does the default function and it's just a game over. So it'll send you over to the game over UI. For us, we're going to add in a cube label. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag in one image, and I'm going to drag it in as just an image, and this is going to just visibly represent how many coins we have. Okay? So I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to probably make it 0.3, 0.3. Okay, I think that's good. Put this up in the corner. Make sure you click stick to edge so it stays in that corner. And then I'm going to drag in a label to represent how many coins we have. So over here on the right, I'm going to click on function. I'm going to change it to score. I'm going to change it from world to current world. I think that's probably best. And I'm going to change the distance, the score type, to coins instead of distance. And the amount I'm going to change to current. And the alignment's left, that's fine. I'm just going to leave it with the left alignment in the default font. I'm going to click stick to edge for sure, so that I can so that it stays there in the upper edge. But I think that the scale is going to be way too big, so I'm going to change it to 0.7 and 0.7 just to kind of test that out. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we're collecting coins and keeping track of them. Let's add in, we're just going to test out this first coin. Okay, if we collect this coin and it shows up in the upper left hand corner, then mission accomplished. So let's press play. Let's start our game. I'm going to go ahead and jump and collect the coin. Booyah, we've got a 1 in the upper left hand corner. It's really hard to see. Let's see if you can see it now. See, there's a little 1 right there. Okay, and that's actually, that's too white. It's too blended in. That's not going to work. So we need to change the default font on that. So let's exit out of that. So let's see here. Let's change that. Oops, that's the game over UI. Let's click on World UI. Let's change the default font. Okay, because I don't really like that font. So here we go. Go over here to the top right corner. Okay, so this is so you can see it. Top right, click double A, and this is going to open up the different fonts. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the main color. That's all. I'm going to just change the main color to black. It's going to be darker, or at least a little bit darker than that, because the white's not showing up at all, and that's not good. Okay, so you see how we just changed the color of all these, of the font, of all the letters and numbers. So I'm going to click exit, or actually I'm just going to, yeah, I'll leave this as the default font. Or you know what, if I do that, no, I should be good. I should be fine. I can just do that. Just change it to black and I should be fine. Okay, so now let's test it out. Let's see what our game looks like now. Yay, okay, that's better. I mean, it's a little bit, it's a little bit bland. You might want to change the color to something better. Okay, but it's going to be way more visible than it was before. And watch, when we collect our coin, oh, I missed it. Gosh darn it, I stink. Okay, so this time when we collect our coin, you can actually see it, and it's visible, and it's right there. Okay, so that's a little bit better. One thing that I would do though is I would definitely move it more over to the left. It's way too far away from the cube. So let's test that out now and see if it's a little bit better. Okay, cool. See how the 0 is closer to the cube? That looks a lot better. I didn't like the way it looked before. So let's jump and collect this. Yay, okay, cool. So everything's working. So let's go ahead and finish off this demo here. And I'm going to show you, once you collect 10 coins, you win. You get sent to the win page. Okay, so I'm going to add in a new event observer because I want to send it somewhere else. Once you win, I want it to do something else. So I'm going to put in a second event observer in there right now, and that looks so cool. It looks like a set of eyes. I think that looks cool. Look at that. Ooh, creepy eyes. Okay, but for this one, for this event observer, I want it to be total coins. Okay, I'm going to change it to total coins collected in this scene. I'm going to change it to, and I'm going to zoom over here in the top right so you can see this a little better. Okay, I'm going to change the session total to just 10. Okay, so if you collect 10 coins, it's going to do the default function and send you off somewhere. Okay, you do not want to do start a checkpoint because that's something else. Okay, so it's after you collect 10 coins, total coins, you should be sent somewhere else. So it'll be a different event observer. I'm going to zoom out again. I'm going to hit Command S and save my work. And now when you go to the mind map, it's going to be like, wait, now I've got a new event observer. Let's do something with it. So real quick, just so I can keep track of this event observer, I'm going to entitle it win game. Okay, so now the title of this is win game. So when we go back to our mind map, there's win game right there. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and move this up, and I'm going to, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to use the pause button screen. So I'm going to click on pause and I'm going to press S. Okay, and what this does is it duplicates that UI. All right, and that saves you tons of time and tons of work. And I'm going to change the title of this to win game. Okay, win game UI. Okay, so I'm going to connect them up. And I have to fix this game UI because right now it just says pause. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to add a label in that just says win game. So I'm going to type over here in the text, I'm going to say you won. Exclamation mark. Awesome. Good job. I'm going to make it way bigger. Cool. Looks a little pixelated, I gotta say. I'm not too fond of that. See if there's something we can do about that. Let's see if it works. First, let's see if it works. Okay. So all the other buttons and everything is going to work just like you assume. The animation for this is not set in yet. So let's go ahead and fix the animation in as well since we're right here. So we'll go ahead and we'll record this, and at, I think it was 24 frames, or at the 14th frame, we're going to have it fade in all the way to 1, and then at 0, the opacity is going to be 0, so that it just fades in. Okay. So now let's add some coins and see if collecting 10 coins finishes the game. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it. I'm going to paste that coin over here, and I'm going to put a couple coins in as a reward for jumping over these things. Okay, and just to test out our game, I'm going to create another scene here. So I'm going to click on 1, and then I'm going to press D on my keyboard. I'm going to press D, and it's going to create another scene. It just D is for duplicate, and it duplicates another scene. And so now it's the exact same scene between the two, but I can go ahead and switch this around and change it how I like. So I'm going to unlock the platforms and the enemies, and I'm going to get rid of a few things. Maybe make one little challenge here. Make two little spikes we have to jump over. And oops, I just rotated that around. Let's zoom in a little bit so I can move these things around a little easier. So I'm going to add in a couple coins here. Maybe duplicate a coin. I'm going to hit D and duplicate it some more. And then once we collect 10 coins, we should win the game. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I'll add in 1 or 2 more coins, and I think we're good, because right here's already 9 coins, so I should be able to collect 10 easy. Okay, so let's test out our game and see if it works. Okay, testing out our game. We got this wonderful start main menu. It's mystical, it's foggy, it's awesome. Okay. Now, I'm going to move and try to collect these coins. Yeah. Yeah, so we've got 3. We have 5. I hope I don't die. Okay, 8. Yeah, we won. Okay, cool. So as soon as you collect 10, you win the game and you're done. That's it. And you can continue. It'll just keep looping you right back because you've already beat the game. And you could restart it. And it'll restart the game. Oh, it keeps going you right back to the main menu. So let's fix that real quick. So I'm gonna go over here, click on my win game UI, and let's check these things. Let's make sure that it's all working right. So it's restart. Let's do yeah, I think that's where we want what we want to do. Main menu. Restart, back jump. I'm going to go ahead and make this, I'm going to change this to back as well. And you know what? If you already beat the game, there's no reason to have a continue button. So let's just restart it. And let's see here. Restart. Let's do let's see if back jump will work for this. And we'll make it jump back to the main menu UI. So let's test this out one more time. And see, this is why it's so important to test out your games like crazy. I love this little cubey character that Danny made. Yeah. Cool. Okay, awesome. So you won, and then the restart button should take you back to the main menu. It looks good. I wonder if it'll, because if it takes you back to the start of the session and you've already collected 10 coins in that session, you'll just end up winning again. So you have to have it loop back. And I'm thinking that's a good way of doing it. Is just looping back to the main menu. But then you have both buttons doing the same thing, so that doesn't make sense. Let's fix that. Okay, so this one takes you to the main menu. This one just takes you. Let's just see what happens if it just takes you back. Okay, collect 9 coins. Yeah, see, it just keeps taking you right back to the same session. So you've already won that one. So let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm going to just have it be, I think I'm going to just get rid of the main menu completely and have this do a back jump to the main menu. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good solution. So let's try that now. Because once you've beaten the game, you only really need one option to go back to the main menu or to continue or to, but you only really need to escape from that pause menu or from that win UI. Okay, cool. So you won. Restart. Main menu. Here we go. Right back at it, and you play again. And you know what? Let's see here. Something's going on because it keeps going back to you won afterwards, and I don't like that. So let's check and see what's going on. Total coins. Oh, here, you know what? That's what it is. It's the total coins in the game. So let's just change it to session coins instead, and let's see if that works. Okay. Alright, collect our coins, our session coins, and there we go, and then restart. And you know what, I bet if we restart it now, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and bring the main menu back. I think that would be a good one to bring back. So I'm going to copy it from this UI. I'm going to go into this UI and paste it. It's got all the animations still left over, and then I'm going to change this just back to restart. And so everything should be working perfectly now. Yay. Okay, let's see it. Collect our 10 coins. and restart, and we restart the game. Well, isn't that beautiful? A little bit of troubleshooting there for you so you can see how to fix problems in the middle of the process. It happens from time to time. No one's perfect. So once you collect 10 coins, you should be able to go either to the main menu or to restart and restart the game. And it's awesome. And our pause button is still working. Go back to the main menu. Everything's working great. Our animations are working great. It's perfect. Okay, so that was a little bit of a long video, but I hope you got a lot out of it. You got to see how you troubleshoot within Buildbox and how you can create a platformer game really, really easily. You can go ahead and build as many scenes as you want and make this as complicated and as fun as you want. But for right now, for just the demonstration purpose, I'm going to go ahead and just leave it right here so you can see the basic setup. Okay, that's it for this platformer demo. I hope you really liked it. I just want you to know I purposely left all of the parts where I'm troubleshooting and figuring out problems on the fly, because there's going to be plenty of times when you're making your game and you're like, I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know what to do. And I just want you to know that it happens to the best of us, and it's just part of the process, okay? So I may or may not include that in my future videos, but we'll see. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you next time. See you, everybody.